Hello everyone, and welcome to my studio. So I would like to talk to you about an incredible invention, which was the tube of paint. I know in our time that doesn't seem so amazing because of computers and iPads and iPhones, but before the tube of paint, it made it very difficult to get outside to paint. Oil paint dried fairly quickly as you put it out. You didn't have as good a way to store it, so you would only mix colors that you really needed to use at the time. And going outside, if you were going to venture, involved, according to the Smithsonian, a pig's bladder and poking a hole in it, filling it with paint, and then you had no way to seal it once you were out there. Sounds pretty bad altogether. But a gentleman by the name of Rand invented the tube of paint and putting it in the material that would make it last, let you go outside and come inside. So it is amazing because there's certain inventions that have stood for such a long time. People have used the French easel, which is over 100 years old, until new manufacturers and kind of improved, not kind of, really improved on the idea through Open-M Box, Strata, Soltec, and the tube of paint. So the Impressionists wouldn't have happened without this because they wouldn't have been able to get outside. So let's talk about getting outside. Why do we get outside? Well, and why don't we just use an iPad or a computer? You certainly could. I think that everything is viable, whether you're using oil, acrylic, gouache, iPad, computer. However you can get color notes, grab them. It's difficult. I have had difficulty with an iPad and a computer, even though I use them, but I have had difficulty because of the screen. I haven't quite figured out a way to stop that brightness. Though oil, acrylic, and gouache, they all come with their difficulties. Oil, slow drying is wonderful because you're not in a rush to manipulate edges, and acrylic, yeah, but at the same time, acrylic, you can clean up mistakes much quicker. Gouache is a favorite for mine for traveling. These are both water-based. And the iPad and the computer. Why go outside? The Impressionists started to go outside and study the effect of light. When I go out, we're improving on our color, we're improving on our drawing, but one amazing fact of the Impressionists and the way I currently paint is I don't know how every cathedral works, how haystacks work, how every tree works, how a wave works, how a horse, a person. I study as much as I possibly can because the more that you know, the better you will be. But the Impressionists changed everything because they started painting light and the effect of light. So the puzzle piece of this color next to that color next to that color should, in the end, give you the feeling of form and depth of the given object. So these are some studies that Monet did. I'm sure you've seen them. They're famous, of his studies of the cathedral and of the haystacks. And what he did was went out different times of year and different times of day and studied similar scenes to find out what he could learn in how light affects color and form. So very interesting on these. I wanted to show you what I did, and mine here is going to be with photography. But an interesting idea is, this is on the California coast, and I went and shot this scene on different days and different times of the year with different weather to show how drastic, even in a photograph which is not nearly the level of our eye. The reason we go out is our eye can capture far more color. A photograph distorts shape and it distorts color. It doesn't have as wide a range as our eye. God created our eye, man created a camera, it has its limit. Our eye has so much distance in value and can see so much more. That's the reason we don't just go take photographs. Going outside and studying it, you will learn from it. However, that being said, these photos do tell a pretty good story. So This is a typical, I would say a really typical day out on the coast. If I was to go out, that scene many days looked like that. This is a foggy day. Can you see the difference in what happens in the value from light to dark in here, the harshness of, especially with the camera, but this dark area, these get more exposed, where in a foggy day, you see a lot more color in the light and the shadow. Then this is a real unusual day. This was a great day. I was out painting, and the fog was in the distance, but there was this shot of light that came in the foreground, but it wasn't powerful. It was enough to illuminate, but not too harsh, and so it didn't blow out the light. So that was a very interesting day. You can see here that when you're talking about the light, this light now is even harsher than this one. Can you see how the shadows have really been lost into the dark? There's very little color. And this one's early morning. And then this was a wonderful day of really big surf. In fact, you can see the wave right here. This is a spot called Pescadero Point, which before they made it illegal was a big surfing spot when the waves are giant. When you have huge swells, people would have to be towed in there with a jet ski. But take a look at this. You can even see that atmosphere. It's being pushed back even though it's shot from the same distance. Okay? Look at the distant mountain. Look how that hill has changed according to the weather. So we're not only looking at the foreground, look at the effect it has back there and how much of it we see, how much depth, the change, and even the color of the water. That is, to me, fascinating. When you go out to paint, a lot of people are like, oh, you've painted this before. Yeah, I've painted this scene. I love this scene, so I go back quite a bit, but it's like the haystacks to me. Look at the difference between this water and this water and this water. Look at the green and the gray. In fact, let's color pick those just so we can see. Look at that. Not one of the images has the same color water. Look at the difference. And that's why we go out. And once again, this photo is not doing it justice. If you were there, it would be even more extreme. And you can do the same with the sky, you can do the same with the tree, you can do the same with the foreground. You should never have a formula, certainly for a sky, like, oh, skies are blue, because skies change so drastically. We'll even do just one. Look at this sky, because they're both sunny, and this sky. You know, same area, drastically different. Observation skills is one of the most important things that I can teach in this class, and I'm doing my best to give you enough information so you can go out and study the world and incorporate that into a final product. But the real knowledge or gift that I could share with you would be work on your observation skills. The better your observation skills get, the better you can use those. And unfortunately, it just doesn't come easily because you have to work on your drawing, you have to go out in the scene. There's things that you have to build up, but I promise you, you will improve at a rate that will blow your mind if you do put the time into getting outside and studying our world. So let's start talking about the materials we need to get outside.